Hello, ladies and gentlemen of Algebra 2. This is Mr. McCabe again. All right, this is what we're going to, after you talk about your flip book tomorrow, this is what we're going to go over. We're going to go into linear forms. You need to know standard form, point slope form, and slope intercept form. Now, there are some rules with each three of these uh, uh, items. With standard form, x and y are always on the same side. X and y will always be on the same side. X is first, it's always first, and always positive. Make sure it's always positive. So if it's negative, we got to change that. Next, no fractions are allowed. So if you see any fractions, we're going to learn how to get rid of them. Okay? Now, point slope form. Now notice, x1 and y1 can be any point on the line. That's this x, this is this y1 and this x1. They can be any point on the graph. But x and y are constant. They never change. This is the x, this is the y. They will always be x and always be y. You cannot substitute a number for them. So make sure they stay x and y. All right, and then last, slope-intercept form. On your slope-intercept form, remember, we're going to solve for y. So you got to get it to look like y equals mx plus b, or remember we talked about b plus mx. I'll accept either one. Remember, b is your y-intercept. That's where it crosses the x-axis. Your m, not the x, only the m, is your slope. Is your slope. All right, we talked about that in class today. So let's go ahead and go forward. This is the notes you're going to need. All right, this is in standard form. Notice 2 is positive. It's x and y on the same side. Well, what we're going to do is, it's really difficult to go from standard form to point slope form right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark this out. I want to go from standard form to slope-intercept form. So with 2x minus 4y equals to 8, I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract the 2x on both sides. Show your work, please. Bring this down. It's negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 8. I'm going to divide everything by 4. And I'm left with y equals. Remember, negative 2 divided by 4 is not negative 2. It's negative 1/2. X. 8 divided by 4 is, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be divided by negative. So that's going to be a positive 1/2. And then 8 divided by negative 4 is a negative 2. All right, now in this case, my rate of change, my slope, is 1/2. This is your slope. It's always in front of x. Let me blow this up just a little bit. And our y-intercept is always here, negative 2. So my b is equal to negative 2. Now, remember, that's your y-intercept. That coordinate point is at 0, negative 2 on a graph. 0, negative 2 on a graph. Okay, now, when we go to slope-intercept form, when I give you a slope-intercept form, notice my slope in this case is now 2. That's this right here, 2. This is my y-intercept, so this is m, this is b. So my b in this case is 5. Remember, that's going to be at 0, 5. Now, if I want to use point slope form, remember, y minus, I'm going to leave this blank, equals m times x minus, okay? I'm going to fill in the blank. So my 2, which is my m, goes right there. I can use this point because it is a point on the line. I can use any point on the line, but since it gives me my y-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So remember, this is my x, this is my y. So my x is, I plug it in exactly as it is. So it's a 0. It's a 0. And then for my y value, I'm going to plug in 5. I'm going to plug in 5. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this into standard form. Now notice, remember the rules. X and y have to be on the same side. X is always positive, and no fractions are allowed. Well, the good thing about it, there are no fractions. So I'm going to take this equation, y equals 2x plus 5. Now, since x is already positive, I'm simply going to switch. I'm going to bring the y over here, and I'm going to subtract the 5 and bring it over here. Now, that's gone at the same time. My y is gone at the same time. Notice, The only thing left on this side is negative 5 equals 2x minus y. All right? Make sure you're writing it very clearly. Now, I can either leave it like this, or I can write it with ax plus by. So I'm going to just rewrite it. 2x minus y equals negative 5. Notice that nothing changed. My 5 is still negative. My y is still minus. All right, so there's my standard form. Now, from here, from your point slope form, again, remember, this is your x1, this is your y1. Now remember, it's x minus. So if this is x minus and this is y minus, this is already taken care of. So you got to be careful with this one. You got to be careful in this one. In this case, here is my slope. So my m is 1/3. My m is 1/3. Now, this is a point on the graph. This is a point on the graph. So I don't know where my y-intercept is just yet. Okay? But what I can do for my slope-intercept form, I can actually solve for y. And in doing so, y minus, in fact, I'm going to do a separate sheet of paper so I'll have more room. So if y'all will watch, I'm going to have y minus 4 equals 1/3 x plus 9. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute here. I'm going to bring down my y minus 4 equals 1/3 x. Now remember, 1/3 of 9 is 3. I'm going to add the 4 next, and that gives me y by itself equals 1/3 x plus 7. 1/3 x plus 7. That's what I'm going to fill in here. So y equals 1/3 x plus 7. Now, in doing so, what I'm going to accomplish is now, notice I have my slope still. That's what I have right here. The next thing I'm going to have is my y-intercept. So my b is going to be 7. Therefore, 0, 7 is my y-intercept. Now, the next tricky thing is I want to fill in my standard form. Notice that the slope-intercept has a fraction. Well, how do we do that? So I'm going to go ahead and work down here. Remember, in order to get rid of a denominator, you need to multiply everything by that denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So when I distribute, look what I end up getting. Okay, I get 3y equals 3 times 1/3 x plus 3 times 7. Notice I distributed that 3 to all 3 items. This becomes 3y. 1/3 and 3 cancel out, and I'm left with x. 3 times 7 is 21. Now again, this is just like the last problem I solved. I'm going to move the 3y over here, and at the same time, I'm going to move the 21 over here. Now, 3y's are gone. I'm left with negative 21 on this side. I'm left with x, and I just bring down my minus 3y. Now you can flop it around. So x minus 3y equals negative 21. And that's what I'm going to put in for my standard form. So for my standard form, x minus 3y equals negative 21. Okay? Now I want you to realize this isn't going to happen overnight. You're going to have to practice this. You're going to have to practice this. Here are 2 more. Again, standard form. You don't have to go to point slope form from here. It's a little too difficult. But what I can do is solve for y. Notice on this one, I can automatically just subtract 4x from both sides. All right, that's gone. I'm left with y is equal to. Now, do not subtract 20 minus 4. This is a 4x. Remember, when you subtract 4, make sure that x goes with it. Make sure that x goes with it. So, you're going to just write it as minus 4x. And now 20 is a positive, so write plus 20. Plus 20. My slope in this case is negative 4. My y-intercept, my b, is going to be positive 20. Therefore, at 0, 20 is where it's going to cross the y-axis. All right, the last one that we're going to do is this one. Notice my slope is negative 2. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. M equals negative 2. Well, what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and solve. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this. So I get y plus 2 is equal to, I'm going to distribute the negative 2, so let me bring this up some more. So I'm going to get negative 2x. Now remember, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. I then can subtract 2 from both sides. And notice I get y equals negative 2x plus 6. Plus 6. Therefore, my y-intercept is positive 6, and the coordinate point is at 0, 6. All right? Now, on this one's going to be real easy to do because I'm going to bring it over here. I have y equals negative 2x plus 6. The reason why I don't have to do too much is because x is already negative. So I'm simply going to add 2x to the front. And remember, I end up, if it's plus 2x, that means 2x plus y, because y is still positive, equals 6. And there you have standard form. When you come in tomorrow, what you're going to do is hopefully you will have this memorized. You will have taken notes on this. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice this on this sheet here. We're going to practice on this sheet here. So I know this sounds like a lot to do, but the more you do it, the easier it'll get. Have a good night.